Former movie producer Harvey Weinstein is in a New York courtroom as we speak for a judicial conference to set up the last-minute particulars of his upcoming criminal trial on sex crimes charges. Our crews are there at the courthouse, but first, let's listen to some previous discussions about this case with Gloria Allred, the celebrity attorney who's representing at least one of the accusers.
I'm surprised it took so long, till 2017, for the story of Weinstein to come forward.
Well, again, some people, maybe they thought they were the only ones. I don't know. And then, you know, it does kind of build once people start speaking out, especially A-list actors. Others say, oh, I guess I could speak out too. I won't be afraid.
Right.
There are people who've spoken out that ended up getting sued by celebrities.
Yeah, it happens all the time.
So, yeah, so if they want to take that risk and they are willing to pay attorneys to defend them if they get sued for defamation, God bless them. It's up to them if they want to take that risk. I'm not going to tell them not to do it or to do it.
How do you think this trial is going to play out the day-to-day? I mean, I'm going to be at the courtroom. I'm going to be watching it. This trial is going to be very different than anything we've seen. How do you think it's going to play out, the way everything is set up?
Look, Harvey Weinstein has a lot of money to spend on highly paid small army of defense attorneys. They'll be armed. You know, they're going to do everything to earn their pay. So it'll be attack, 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 I expect, on the witnesses. And we'll see how that goes over with the jury. So it's hard to say. I'm sure it'll be very dramatic at points. Other times it'll be kind of boring, but important. Testimony will be given. And I do look forward to justice for victims, those who contend that they are victims of Harvey Weinstein and can prove it. And just people in general are going to be looking to this case and saying, is this going to be a just result? And we'll see what the jury decides.
Those words from celebrity attorney Gloria Allred representing some of the accusers against Harvey Weinstein. Let's go now to Law&Crime's Angelica Spanos, who's standing by outside the New York Supreme Courthouse in Lower Manhattan, where Harvey Weinstein just walked into court to start this proceeding. Angelica, good to see you.
Hey, Aaron, good morning to you. Yeah, just minutes ago, Harvey Weinstein got out of a black SUV with his walker. He walked up the front steps of New York Supreme Court here. Now, he will face a judge for the first time here, the first day of his trial. Happening today is what they call the Judicial Conference. And basically, the judge will lead a discussion and outline how this trial will go down, what will happen during it, a timeline, go over administrative tasks, and figure out exactly the number of witnesses that will be called and when. We know that jury selection will happen tomorrow, and that alone could take about 2 weeks. Now, there are no cameras allowed inside that courtroom. Our very own Jesse Weber is inside, though, and he will bring you those latest details from in there. Now, you can see behind me just the amount of media here. There is a large media presence from all over the world. This is a highly anticipated trial and one that will be watched with a close eye. Weinstein, the 67-year-old, pleaded not guilty to charges of assaulting 2 women in New York, one of those back in 2006 and the other in 2013. One of those women, Mimi Halle, is represented by Gloria Allred. We saw her walk into the courtroom earlier this morning. The other is unnamed, and court documents say that accuser was incapacitated, or not able to consent at the time of the alleged assault. Prosecutors will likely call other accusers to testify during this trial, though this trial only stems from these 2 New York-based accusers. In total, more than 80 women have accused Weinstein of sexual misconduct. He faces up to life in prison if convicted on the top counts of predatory sexual assault. Back out here live, I want to tell you that there is a large group of women forming across the street here in a nearby park. That group of women is holding a rally this morning, and they say that they are there to stand in solidarity with any victims or accusers of sexual assault. And they are there, of course, as sparked of the hashtag #MeToo movement, which came out of Harvey Weinstein's allegations and has swept the nation for the past several years. They say they want to stand there in solidarity with any victims of sexual assault and be there to be strong for the women and accusers who will speak inside this courtroom. I'm Angelica Spanos, live for Law&Crime. Back over to you.
Angelica, set the stage there a little bit more for viewers who are watching across the country here. We can see the many microphones behind you there. Everybody's there. There are accusers.
Set up here. We're expecting maybe members of both of the defense teams to possibly talk behind me here. As you can see, all the microphones set up. Across the way, off camera, to my left is a park, and that is where a lot of these women are going to be holding this rally. There are many women here who have nothing to do with this trial, but are just here to stand with these women in solidarity and to support them. We saw some of them with signs saying #MeToo and Time's Up and all those catchphrases from and part of this Me Too movement.
Exactly. Angelica Spanos standing by outside the courthouse for us here on the Law and Crime Network. I know you'll keep on top of all of the developments happening there. Jesse Weber, of course, who normally sits in this chair at this time of the day here at Law and Crime, is inside the courthouse to bring us any developments which come out of this judicial conference leading up to jury selection, which begins tomorrow. Jury selection could take 2 weeks in this case. Jurors usually called up 18 to 24 at a time after they fill out the written questionnaire, of course, and then they are asked questions for up to 20 minutes each about their background, whether or not they know anyone in the courtroom, whether they formed an opinion about the case, and through that process, a impartial jury is seated. Each side gets 20 peremptory strikes. That's a strike that each side can take for any reason whatsoever. And of course, then there are unlimited strikes for cause. For instance, if someone knows an accuser, if someone knows an attorney, if someone already has just a clear-cut opinion about the case, that person is off the jury, and there are an unlimited number of strikes for cause that either side can exercise. Retired LAPD Sergeant Cheryl Dorsey is with me, of course, here this morning on Law and Crime, monitoring the developments. So, Cheryl, when we're going into this case, we have all of these procedural matters we need to straighten out to make sure this trial is fair, because the defense has said over and over again this guy deserves a fair trial just like any other defendant with constitutional rights. And some of the attorneys were out in the press this past weekend trashing the press, saying, look, you keep talking to all of these accusers and you're saying that there are 80 accusers out there. How is an impartial jury going to be seated in this case?
Well, this is information that's been bannered about for quite some time. And so the defense attorneys have a job to play. They have a role. And they will continue to do the very best that they can to try to get him off. That's what they're there to do. And however they can plant doubt, right? Because what they're saying is also out there for a prospective juror to hear and possibly form an opinion. And so I think it cuts both ways.
Oh, exactly. I think so, too. And look, if you don't have anybody left to blame, you can, of course, blame the press. The press will continue to play its constitutional role, reporting what it can accurately about the proceeding. Of course, the charges are public. We know what's going on. We can read the court record just as well as anybody else. And we'll continue to report what's happening. So, Cheryl, everybody's watching. Everybody's waiting. We have the protesters in the park across the street. They, of course, want to have their voices heard as well. One of the big questions is whether or not this trial inside that courtroom is going to turn into a referendum on the Me Too movement. In your opinion, from a law enforcement perspective, is it wise to utter that word in that courthouse, or should this only be about the facts from the accusers and whether or not those facts meet the law?
Well, I think, to be fair, we should just talk about, the facts and where they lead us with regards to this case and these particular victims. I don't think, the whole Me Too thing should probably come up, to be fair. I mean, why do anything that may down the road give pause or give a reason for the case to be thrown out or retried or any of that? You want to play by the book.
Exactly. Retired LAPD Sergeant Cheryl Dorsey with me here on the Law and Crime Network. I know you'll stay with us throughout the morning here. We need to take a break here at Law and Crime. We'll be back with more live updates from the courthouse and more from those accusers as we continue.